So at the time that I'm sitting down to make this video, the MLB is in a lockout, which is unfortunate. And it looks like the lockout is going to postpone the beginning of the season, which is a shame. And you know, I guess it's no secret that the MLB does have its fair share of problems, some of which I might talk about in a future video. But for now, let's talk about expansion. Yes, I'm continuing my expansion series. Since my NHL expansion video and my NBA expansion video both have over 2,000 views, which is insane, I thought I'd make a video about the MLB and where I think it should expand. So this is what the MLB division alignment looks like right now. Just like in my NHL expansion video and my NBA expansion video, I will not be moving any teams from where they currently play. But unlike those two videos, I will not be moving any of the teams from one division into another division. Although personally, I think that the Pirates and Braves should switch divisions because Pittsburgh is east of Atlanta, and same with the Rays and the Guardians. I think they should also switch divisions because Cleveland is east of St. Petersburg, but whatever, I'm getting off track. My objective with this video is to add one new team into each division. And so with that all out of the way, let's get on to the expansion cities. First up is Portland, Oregon. Now look, anyone who knows me in real life knows that I have my feelings about Portland, but the truth is they really need some more pro sports teams. Right now all they have is the Portland Trail Blazers of the NBA and the Portland Timbers of the MLS. Portland, as a prominent city in the Pacific Northwest, definitely should get more pro sports teams to help it compete with Seattle. And personally, I think an MLB team would be a great addition to the city. You know, the Seattle Mariners don't really have any nearby rivals, so a Portland team would be great in that sense. However, Portland, like all the other cities I'm about to mention, don't really have a proper MLB stadium, so that's definitely something that's going to need to be built. Also, in Portland's case, it's definitely going to need to be a stadium with a roof, because I'm sure as you know, it rains a lot in the Pacific Northwest. Trust me, I live here. Next is Las Vegas. At the time of me making this video, it's looking very likely that the Oakland A's are going to relocate to Las Vegas, and if that happens, I would probably put Vancouver in Las Vegas's place for the sake of this video. But since that isn't confirmed yet, I'll just stick to talking about Las Vegas for now. Las Vegas is known as the entertainment capital of the world, and that's definitely not for no reason. People from all over the place come to Las Vegas to enjoy its exceptional nightlife. And in recent years, many people have also come to Las Vegas to attend sporting events. I already mentioned in my NBA expansion video that the Golden Knights and the Raiders have been a huge success in Las Vegas. Not to mention, Las Vegas's population has exploded in the past few decades, and a lot of the people flocking to Las Vegas are definitely older, to say the least. And it just so happens that the average Major League Baseball fan typically tends to be older. But make no mistake, there are definitely lots of younger fans who would support a team as well. Not to mention, there's already a AAA team there, so there's definitely a baseball market. It's plain to see, Las Vegas is a goldmine for any potential sports franchises. Next is Nashville. Nashville finds itself in a pretty weird location where there aren't really any baseball teams nearby. Well, I guess there's the Braves, but they're almost 200 miles away. Tennessee would be a perfect place for a new baseball franchise to build their identity. Nashville is known for the country music scene, which perfectly complements the nightlife on Broadway. In recent decades, professional sports have really taken off in the city of Nashville with teams like the Titans, the Predators, and Nashville SC. All three of the teams I just mentioned have built very strong fan bases, despite Nashville not being that huge. Some people might argue that Nashville isn't ready for a fourth pro sports team, but honestly, I disagree. Keep in mind, the MLB is a summer league. The NFL and NHL aren't. That means that a potential Nashville baseball team would only have to compete for attendees with Nashville SC. And remember, soccer teams only play once every few days, whereas baseball teams play almost every day. And with the amount of foot traffic that Nashville has, you're sure to find more than a few baseball fans mixed in with the crowd. So for all of you in the comments under my NBA expansion video complaining that I didn't include Louisville, I'm including it now, so you're welcome. Honestly, I'm surprised Louisville doesn't have any pro sports teams. It's a big enough city. You'd think they'd have at least one pro sports team by now, especially considering other cities in the area already have multiple sports teams. Baseball would be a great place to start for Louisville, because make no mistake, it is definitely a baseball town. If you're a baseball fan, you should know that Louisville is where the Louisville Slugger bats are manufactured. I mean, obviously, it's in the name. The Louisville Cardinals draw good crowds for their game, so that's obviously a good indicator of demand for baseball in the city. And this is unrelated, but the Cardinals are easily the best college baseball team in the area. Not to mention, Louisville's only an hour-and-a-half drive away from Cincinnati, which has the Reds, so there's easily a rivalry able to form there. To the untrained eye, Louisville might look like a bit of a long shot, but honestly, I think that they deserve a chance with Major League Baseball. Next up is Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, some of you may be wondering, why Raleigh? Why not Charlotte? After all, Charlotte is the largest city in North Carolina. Wouldn't it make more sense to put a team in Charlotte? Now that's a perfectly valid question, and I'm gonna answer it. While yes, it is true that Charlotte is the most populated city in North Carolina, Raleigh is located in Wake County, which is the most populated county in North Carolina. Oh, and by the way, do you see at the bottom of the screen where I put the metro population? Yeah, well, that number isn't even including the nearby cities of Durham and Cary, which would be home to even more fans of a potential Raleigh baseball team. Right now, Raleigh has one pro sports team, the Carolina Hurricanes, and although they have struggled with attendance in the past, generally they have sparked a pretty strong fan base in the area. They even won a Stanley Cup back in 2006. If hockey, a sport that wasn't even that popular in North Carolina a few decades ago, can work in Raleigh, then why not baseball? With so many people living in the Research Triangle area, as well as Raleigh already having proven itself to be a good destination for pro sports, they've definitely earned their spot on this list and should be considered for a baseball team. Besides, Charlotte already has 3 pro sports teams. Before I unveil the final city, I would just like to share some honorable mentions because I know some of you in the comments are going to complain that I didn't include some of these cities, so here they are. Some of these cities I didn't include because I didn't want to shift the divisions around because that would have gotten really complicated. And for the record, I think all of these cities deserve teams, but some definitely more than others. Like, it's definitely not going to be the end of the world for me if Indianapolis never gets a team. And unfortunately, not all of these places can get teams. You don't want to water down the talent in the league or anything. But cities like Austin that are growing really rapidly definitely should be considered if we're talking about relocating teams. But I'm not going to open that can of worms in this video. Last but certainly not least is Montreal. Now, I'm sure most of my viewers are aware that Montreal used to have a Major League Baseball team, the Montreal Expos. They relocated in 2005 and are now the Washington Nationals. While I think Washington definitely deserved to get a team, it's a shame Montreal had to lose theirs in order for that to happen. The Expos played at Olympic Stadium, which to say the least was not a good venue for baseball, even when it opened. I mean, it had artificial turf, like, ew. And yes, I know that Rogers Center also has artificial turf, but I have said in the past that I don't like Rogers Center either, so I'm unbiased. Whatever, I'm getting sidetracked. Ultimately, for reasons I'm too lazy to explain, the Expos ended up relocating. Here's a screenshot I took from the Expos Wikipedia page, so pause to read it if you want. To this day, Montreal remains a vibrant, bustling metropolis, and the love for the Expos hasn't faded away with time. If you walk around Montreal, or any big Canadian city for that matter, you're sure to still see lots of Expos hats. They still manage to sell merchandise with that iconic logo very well. People still love the Expos, and the only thing really stopping them from coming back would be a proper stadium. A city as large as Montreal would be a great market, and just imagine the rivalry with the Toronto Blue Jays in the modern era. There's no doubt in my mind that Major League Baseball needs to return to Montreal. And there we have it, a 36-team Major League Baseball. As usual, feel free to leave in the comments which cities you would award expansion teams to. And as always, thanks for watching. You know, I made an NHL expansion video during the NHL offseason, so it only made sense to make an MLB expansion video during its offseason. If this type of video interests you, consider checking out my NHL expansion video and my NBA expansion video. I'll leave links to both of those in the description, along with any others I make in the future. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.